So today I wanted us to make a sea moss drink. This is something that is very high on Dr. Sebi's list. It is very high in iodine and minerals, especially iodine, which I'm going to make a video specifically about iodine and the benefits of it, and the relation to your thyroid gland, which is super, super important. When I was growing up as a child, we did have sea moss drink a lot, and there was this, I don't know if it's a myth, I don't know whether this was just people having fun, but sea moss was something that, you know, men drank to have a proper erection. Okay, go figure. I don't know, I just know that it's filled with minerals and it makes you strong and healthy. So I wanted to show you how to make this sea moss drink. So let's look at the sea moss and what it looks like. This sea moss is from the Caribbean. This is what it looks like, and it has some sand on it and some salt. It's a little bit salty. And what I'm going to do, this is about 2 ounces of sea moss, so I'm only going to make this small amount to show you. So what I'm going to do with this, the way we do it is we have to rinse this out to remove the dirt and the dust and the sand. So we rinse this out and you soak it for about 15 to 20 minutes. You don't want to soak it too long, and you don't want to soak it overnight. I know a lot of people soak this overnight, but you shouldn't do that because it removes a lot of the minerals from the sea moss. And especially, you know, we don't know what water, unless you soak it in spring water or mineral water or something, which I wouldn't, you know, do that. It's not necessary. But the tap water, it has a lot of chlorine in it. You don't know what's in it. So you shouldn't soak this for too long. This does not need to be soaked more than 15 or 20 minutes. And then you put it in some water to boil. You boil it for 20 minutes and you turn off the stove and you let it sit. And that's it. And you have sea moss gel. You leave it overnight and you get up the next day and all of it has been dissolved. And you have a wonderful, wonderful gel that you can take it from there and do the drink, and you can do other things with it. So let's rinse this out and then I'm going to show you how I cook it. Okay, folks, so here I have the sea moss, 2 ounces of sea moss immersed in water. I rinsed this out. Remember what I showed you before? It was filled with sand and some dirt. I thoroughly rinsed out all the dirt as best as I could, and this has been soaking now for 20 minutes. So you see it's already expanding and getting bigger and bigger. I mean, I don't know, maybe this is where this whole erection thing came from, because you would see that it would expand even more once you start cooking it and you let it sit. It's going to just, these things here, like this here for instance, this piece right here is going to expand like 6 times the size of this. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and rinse it out one more time. Throw out this water from here because there's some dirt here that we need to discard, because we let it sit for 20 minutes, a little bit more of the dust and sand is gonna be at the bottom of the bowl. I can feel it. So I'm going to take this, throw this water out, and I'm going to show you what I do to cook the sea moss. So I wanted to show you what the sea moss looks like. This has been rinsed thoroughly and soaked for 20 minutes. And this 2 cinnamon sticks that I have here. So I'm going to add to this pot 4 cups of water. 4 cups of water. And because I'm making the drink, I'm adding the cinnamon sticks to it for flavoring. If I were making something else, I would not add the cinnamon sticks. So I'm adding these 2 cinnamon sticks, and I know this cinnamon stick does not look like your run-of-the-mill cinnamon stick, but this is from the Caribbean. Some relatives brought this back for me from the Caribbean. So it's really the bark of a tree. You see, it's the bark of a tree, but I think when they process and manufacture the cinnamon sticks that you get in the supermarket, it doesn't look like this. It's round and it's like it's rolled. So they do some kind of processing with this, because this is what a cinnamon bark looks like. This is what we have in the Caribbean. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 sticks here, and I'm going to put the 2 ounces of sea moss in here, and that's it. It comes to a boil, and then after it comes to a boil, you let it cook for about another 15 minutes. You turn off the stove and you let it sit overnight, and the next morning you see you have a big pot of gel. It just expands and expands and expands. So here, folks, you see this has come to a boil. It took about 10 minutes or so to come to a boil on medium heat. So medium high heat. So this has come to a boil. It's coming to a boil now. You can see this is bubbling up. I'm going to turn this down to low and let it cook on low for 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, you turn the stove off, and that's all you need to do. You let it sit overnight, and then you're going to see this expand and expand, and you're going to see gel. This is all going to turn to gel. So let me show you this. You see this? This is already expanding. This is already expanding. You see? It's already expanding. Let me get a thicker part to show. You see, it's getting thicker. This was not the size of it when I showed you before, the original, before I even rinsed it out and soak it. You see this right here? You see? This is already about 3 or 4 times the size of that part of the sea moss. So it's starting to already dissolve. So what is going to happen? This is going to dissolve. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to put this in a food processor. You don't have to do anything, and it yields much more than if you were to take the sea moss, rinse it out, put it to soak overnight or 20 minutes or whatever, and then put it in a food processor. You're not going to get as much gel if you do it this way. If you do it like this, you are going to get a lot more from the sea moss. This is already sticking. You see, look at this. Look at this. This is 3-4 times the size of what it was. So I'm going to let this sit here and simmer for 15-20 minutes. Turn off the stove, cover the pot, leave it alone until the next day, and I'm going to make the drink. So this is the end product of our sea moss gel. This was sitting overnight, and the reason why it looks like this is that I have the cinnamon stick in it, because we're gonna make our sea moss drink. So this is why it has this color. So I just wanted to show you here. You see how this sea moss, it has doubled in size or tripled in size. The branches, you know what it looked like before. This is double or triple. It really swells up. And you also see this is 4 ounces. Those little 2-ounce packets of sea moss. You see how much it has yielded. It really yields a lot. This is how we do it in the Caribbean. You don't just soak it and then take it and put it in the processor. You're not going to get this much out of it. You're really not. This is just a lot. It really yields a lot. Look at this, how huge this is. This one of the branches, like the main branch. Look at how this has like quadrupled in size. So we're now gonna make our sea moss gel, but instead, not gel, sorry. So instead of using condensed milk, because this is what we used to use in the Caribbean, I'm going to make Brazil nut milk. Here I have some Brazil nuts that I peeled off the skin. I'm sure you know what Brazil nut looks like. This I had in the freezer. I soaked it overnight and then try to peel off the skin. I have to say that Brazil nuts, really, the skin is really a pain in the neck to peel off. It's really difficult and it's time consuming, but you have to do it because you don't want the brown parts for your milk. So I have a cup of Brazil nuts here. I'm going to put it in my cup here to put it in my processor. And then after I do that, we're gonna go to the next step. So instead of using condensed milk, we're gonna use Brazil nut milk, you know, Sebian style. Gotta add some water to this. I'm going to add about 1.5 cups of water. So this has been through the processor, and I just wanted to show you. I have how many, what I have here. I'm seeing bits, but it's okay. So I have a cup here. This is a bit thick. You know, Brazil nut reminds me a lot of coconut. And when you process it like that, it just thickens up a lot. So what I'm going to do for this drink, I'm going to, because the sea moss gel is already thick, so you don't want this too thick. So I have to add quite a bit of water to this. But what I want to do to this, I want to strain it. So I'm going to add some more water here. So I'm going to add water to fill this particular cup all the way up to the top. And then I'm going to strain it through my cheesecloth. So this is a good thing to have on hand, your cheesecloth for your cheese making. When I show you how to do your nut cheese, you're gonna need this. And this is a tightly woven cheesecloth. I've had some cheesecloth before that is not so tightly woven. So depending on what you're passing through it, you're gonna get a better result in terms of not having the bigger pieces in your final product. So I really like this. I found this at Fairway, and it's really a good deal. So I'm going to strain this because I want to have no residue whatsoever. So we're gonna strain this, and then I'm going to come back and show you what I do. I wanted to show you the residue here. You see? So you don't want this in your drink because it's going to be way too thick. You don't want this in your drink. So you have to use a cheesecloth to strain this out. Okay? So I just wanted to show you this. I strained my Brazil nut milk, and this is, I have exactly 2 cups here. This is the consistency of it. You see, this is the consistency of it. You don't want it too thick because you put it in the sea moss, which is very thick. So this is how you want it. This is why I needed to strain this. Now, if you were making cheese, you wouldn't need to strain this. So what I would do, I would add about a cup, 2 cups of sea moss, depending on how thick you want it. This is about 1.5 cups of sea moss. Okay, 1.5 cups. I'm going to add some agave syrup. You know, again, the syrup is how sweet you want it. I'm eyeballing this here. Okay, you have to take it from here and do it your way. Take it from here and do it your way. I'm just showing you the ingredients. It's basic ingredients. It's the sea moss, the milk, some vanilla. I'm going to add like a teaspoon of vanilla, which is the same like the cap. The cap of the vanilla bottle is about a teaspoon of vanilla, and the cinnamon is really, you know, where you get the flavor from. And that's it. And I'm gonna cover this and whip this up, and you have your sea moss drink. So I'm going to pour my sea moss drink into this. See, it's thick. It's a thick drink. And here is to a proper erection, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, this is really good. I'm surprised. I don't miss the condensed milk or the evaporated milk. Really good. Lots of cinnamon flavor. It's fantastic. I hope you make this. I hope you enjoy it. Cheers.